that's a bit of a weird angle. It'll be fine. I'm just going to check that I'm still live over on my laptop. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Yay! I'm live! Hurrah! Hurrah, hurrah! Let's just make sure I've got volume. That seems to be volume. I'll just check again. Yep, I can hear it. Ooh! And someone's on, probably me, over the other side of the room. I'm literally just finishing something off that is nothing to do with today's live, but if you are joining me, do say hello and tell me where you are joining me from while I finish this card off. I'm just making some happy mail to send out to people. I did a post on my personal timeline over the weekend saying if you wanted happy mail just to drop me a message in Facebook Messenger. That looks like Mary. I can see a Mary in the top right hand corner. So yes, I posted that I would send out happy mail if people let me have their address by PMing me, or just letting me know by PMing me. And various people commented that they said they liked getting happy mail, and only one person actually followed the instructions, which was interesting. So yes, that just shows how little people... I'm very well, thank you, Mary. I hope you are too. As I say, I'm just finishing off some happy mail. I've finally got round to using the Seriously the Best kit, because it's got perfect sentiments for the moment, because it's got things like I miss you a lot. So yes, it's got that. I've just realised this is going to be completely back to front. No, it isn't. This bit's back to front. The rest isn't. Hello, Nora. Hope you're keeping well. So yes, I am using my Simply the Best project kit for some happy mail. And once I've used this up, I will then more happy mail with just the same sentiments, but with other products. Because I can. Oh, I suppose keeping the envelopes together would be useful. Hello, Margaret from Ayrshire. First time watching. Woo! Well, fingers crossed. I hardly wish to tempt Providence, but the first one of these I did. This is the fourth. Hi, Wendy Allen. Now, if you're saying good evening, you must be in Australia or New Zealand, I'm guessing, or somewhere thereabouts. So yes, my first one of these was, should we say, interesting. I had my personal timeline. Hi, Jackie. My personal profile was hacked. So I had fun and games that first week, including being thrown off my own Facebook Live by Facebook. But we're back, and fingers crossed it's going to work. I'm just going to pop this out of my way. My craft room, just for a change, looks like a bomb has landed. It's not unusual. I must clear it up. The only problem is I sent out a newsletter to my VIP, my customers, earlier in the week with a sneak peek. Oh, I nearly didn't put these in. With a sneak peek and an advanced booking for a Hello Farquhar Splodge. I should say, for those who don't know who that is, he is actually a friend of mine. Hello, Anne. So yes, I have a limited edition card kit in the mail that will be launching for the general public tomorrow. My VIPs have got a sneak peek because they're my VIPs. They support me, so I try and look after them. And it's a limited edition and it's already selling, so keep your eyes peeled for that tomorrow morning. Or if you are one of my VIPs it is already selling. So yes. So where is everyone from? So I know I've got Ayrshire. I've got somewhere, probably New Zealand or Australia. Hi Jan. I have to apologise. I am suffering with hay fever. And it is hay fever. It is nothing horrid. It is, well, it is horrid. It is just hay fever. I've just realised I've got my lights on. Nice to see you, but I'm looking for a music editor. Okay. Yes, I'm not a music editor. Jackie is in Australia. So Farquhar Splodge, otherwise known as Ken, I will see you soon. Good luck finding your music editor. So yes, I have hay fever. No, I get hay fever in the spring every year. I'm just turning my craft lights on. But because we've got this amazing spring here in the UK, whereas normally I don't suffer too badly from seasonal rhinitis or hay fever, because this year, because it's so lovely and because the pollen count is so high, I am suffering quite badly. Joy! But it's hay fever. I haven't got a cough other than the one that I've got left over from beginning of the year, which was before COVID-19 hit the UK, so I know it's just a cough. Probably not helped by the fact that I've got hay fever. But yeah, so I'm allergic to tree pollen, spring flowers and fungi. So what has come out in the last few weeks? Tree pollen, spring flowers, and we're beginning to see some fungi. So it's just wonderful. And living in the country, of course, there's masses of it. So I'm just going to grab myself a cleaner tissue because the ones in my pocket are dreadful. Hi, Renee. I'll get two, then I've got a spare. So I've got all sorts of things planned for you today. Now, I have to apologise in advance. I planned everything over the weekend, and then I got involved in prepping the kits for this craft kit in the mail, and I think I can remember what I'm supposed to be doing with each of the projects I've got for you today, but who knows? It's going to be interesting. And I've also got the first drawing for Prize Patrol. So each week I will have something to give away, and you have 2 weeks to either share this video in Facebook, hi B, or the YouTube video, and all that you register as having done that is to type the word shared somewhere in the comment that you leave, and then you get put into a pot and we will draw live later in today's live. And the prize for 2 weeks ago was Celebration Happy Birthday to You stamp set, brand spanking new in box and all that. You know, it's got the full sheet of labels, and the back of the stamps have still got their labels on, so brand spanking new. So that was 2 weeks ago. We'll draw that later today. Last week was, and there's still time to enter for this, was the Make a Splash host set. So again, if you want to be entered in the draw for this, you need to share. Hello, Martin Stone. Gosh, I'm going to be worried about my stamping. Martin is one of our artisans. So yes, he is incredible. Really, really amazing designer. So yes, so if you want to be entered in the Make a Splash draw from last week, then you have to share last week's video, which is on YouTube and on Facebook. And then I will let you know what this week's is later. So let's get started. I've got everything boxed up, sort of. I just need to grab the ink pads for that. And I'm deliberately going to be doing this. Please don't what? Worry that you're on, but I will, Martin. I left, I'm in a training group with Kylie Bertucci in Australia, and she asked us to either leave a post or preferably do a Facebook Live in the group for everyone to see how we got on through Celebration. So there I was doing it fairly early one morning, thinking most of the people in the training thing are in Australia and New Zealand. Because she's got all her team in there as well as other people around the world. And so there I was doing my Facebook Live into the group, and who should pop on but Kylie? So, yes, happy day. So, why have I got that? Oh, that's why I've got that. When I've got this random piece of Whisper White cardstock and I couldn't work out why. And now I've remembered. And I've just remembered I didn't have a card blank, so I now have my card blank. So I'm going to flip you round and we can get started. I didn't bring my stool over, so fingers crossed this works. You're going to see the ceiling. And then, if I can get... Right, where's my flip round? There it is. Oh, come on. There we go. Wow, that almost worked. Woohoo! Yes! Gosh, don't you love it when it works? I worked out that I could... Hello, Marilyn. Has shared, thank you. So, yes, I finally worked out that if I have my camera the other way up, my phone rather the other way up, finally you can hear me, Bea. I'm assuming that everybody else was hearing me. Anyway, so let's get started. Yes, hopefully I can see some of the comments as they come through, but I am having to tread on tiptoe. Marilyn is in Vermont. Catherine Miller, good morning. So this is the card. I'm deliberately doing this card for two reasons. A, because I think it's bright and jolly and we should be giving out thank you cards to everybody we possibly can at the moment. We are quite rightly singing the praises of our NHS workers, but we've also got the postman, the UPS man, very important. We've got, we had roadworks being done in the village this week. We've got delivery drivers, we've got people working in supermarkets. So I think we should be carrying around a pack of thank you cards for everyone and just handing them out. So what I've been doing is making loads up and just writing in them a fairly generic, thank you very much for everything you're doing, keeping the country running at this time. Because I think that is important. I've just realised I haven't got one of the pieces of card I need. That was clever, because this is not the piece of Whisper White that I wanted. I need that one. So bear with me one moment while I grab a scrap of Whisper White, one scrap of Whisper White, and cut my card base. As ever, I will be putting all the measurements and some photos on my website when I do the replay, which will be later in the week. Now I normally work in inches, so let's have a look at this. And it would be so helpful if I used a ruler that has 8ths and 16ths on it, wouldn't it? This is my old school ruler. I scratched my name in it. Which form was I in? No, I didn't say. I just scratched my name in it across. But this must be... I'm dreading to say this, but it's probably 50 years old. And we did have centimetres on them then. But yes, this is an old friend. And look, we even had angles. We did have things like protractors, but we also had angles on this. So I need a piece of card that is 2 5/8 by 4 3/8. And I haven't cut it, which is just not good planning. But never mind. I have my trimmer, so I can do it. So 2 5/8, 2 4 5/8, 2 5/8 by 4 3/8. And I will put the metric measurements on for you as well, because I'm nice like that. There we are, that makes me feel better. So I very carefully cut these and very carefully didn't cut the others. You're having sound issues this morning, are you, Bea? I'm sorry about that. Right, so what we are going to do is grab the Label Me Bold stamp set, which I love. I am fingers crossed that it's going to carry over. For those of you who don't know, the retirement list will be going live tonight. So if you want to know what's carrying over and what isn't, 8 o'clock this evening is when we're going to find out. So, just saying, let me grab my stamp. I have a post ready to go on my website that I have drafted in a hope that I can then just pop the retirement list straight into it as soon as it goes live. So I don't know, it's going to be 8:10 this evening probably by the time I've got that sorted. So I'm starting in the middle with Pineapple Punch, and these are of course the retiring in colours. So I have been posting about this over the last few days, in fact the last few weeks. Oh, and by the way, these are this week's rainbow nails. So yes, just going to clean this. So yes, things that we definitely know are going include the ink colours, because they are the 2018-2020 ink colours. We definitely know that they are going to be going. So if you want in colour items, now would be the moment to stock up. And I say that with all the knowledge that literally before I came on live, there was an update. I'm just stamping the thank yous while I've got each ink pad out. Just before I came on live, I checked the demonstrator website for updates because I like to keep you up to date with what's going on. And the designer series paper in the ink colours, so the 6x6 stack, it's gone, and we haven't even popped the retiring list out yet. So yeah, if you want any of the ink colours, I wouldn't be waiting for the retirement list personally, but that's just me. So I'm just popping Grapefruit Grove just above. And the only problem with this is because I'm repeating the stamping, I'm having to clean the stamps in between each time I stamp them. Sorry for that, but I just think it's a really pretty card. And it's nice and bright and jolly. And we need nice and bright and jolly at the moment. I can just about catch your comments if I look round things and... Why am I taking that off? And look round things and sort of stand on almost top tiptoes. So if you've got any questions along the way, do let me know. Right, so lovely lipstick. Which of these colours do I think I'm going to miss most? There's a question, not that you've asked it, but it's one I'm asking myself. And I'm asking myself because it was something that was mentioned on one of our team Facebook Lives recently, that some ink colours you really like, and some ink colours you kind of wait a year and then you like them, and then some ink colours you kind of never like. There is one of these ink colours that I really do not like. I'm not going to tell you which one it is, but there is one that I really don't like. I use it, but I do not like it particularly. It has its place. But I love Pineapple Punch. I'm quite fond of Grapefruit Grove, and then I'm not going to tell you about the others because otherwise you would know. I was just going to ask which one is your favourite. Well, there you go, you see, Martin. We're on the same wavelength. It's as if I could read your mind. So yes, Pineapple Punch. I like the acid colours. So I really, really like Lemon Lime Twist. I am still in mourning over Lemon Lime Twist. It should never have been dropped. It is gorgeous. I still have a stock of it. I mean, a lot of stock of it because I love it. I've not been using it, of course, but I know that it's there in the back of my drawer. So when I want anything that's an acid green yellow, I've got it. But yeah, Pineapple Punch I have quite a lot of because I will miss it. Do you need to get the blue? Oh, you need to get the Blueberry Bushel. Have all the you've got all the other colours. Well, I would, Catherine. I don't know where you are in the world. It might come back. I don't know where you are in the world, but stocks will start to go. Now, yes, so Martin very correctly says that some colours might come back. Now, he is on the artisan design team, so he gets to know more stuff than most people. And I'm not saying he does know anything that the rest of us don't know, but Mint Macaron was an in colour. Poppy Parade was definitely an in colour. Quite a few. I think Blackberry Bliss might have been an in colour as well. So they do come and go. We had a massive colour refresh a couple of years ago, and a lot of colours were retired. Oh, why have I closed that again? See, it's because I'm talking. I can't do two things at once, which is a shame because Facebook Live really requires you to do 3 things at once. So yes, they did a huge colour refresh, and Catherine is in Sheffield. Well then, Catherine, you definitely need to think about getting it sooner rather than later. Generally speaking, things run out in Europe before they do in America. And I say that purely because America is where a lot of our inks and our paper are made. Things like dyes are imported from China because that's the only place apparently that they are made. And that's not for want of trying on Stampin' Up's behalf. They have tried to source as much as they can from within the US, because obviously then they're supporting the economy that they're based in. So yes, we generally find that things run out in Europe and probably in the South Pacific before they do in the States, particularly stamps. Sorry about that. Someone tried to phone me on Facebook while I'm doing a Facebook Live. Bear with me one moment while I... Just going to say I am live on my Facebook business page. Please don't call me as it stops the video. Sorry, someone is trying to join. I do a regular coffee and card in normal world, so I'm just going to cut these out by hand. And I posted on my Facebook Messenger for the coffee and card group that I would be going live on my business page at 11. And one of the people that is part of that group has decided that ringing me on the messenger is how they're going to get me. Jan, could I ask you, because I think you're still on, could I ask you also to just reach out to Jane and let her know that she needs to come over to this if you can. Don't worry if you can't. But if she's looking for the live, she's going to find it here. I have messaged on the group, but just in case. So yes, this is replacing my normal coffee and card. So yes, so I'm just cutting these by hand because, you know, it's as easy. And I'm really not that worried if things aren't perfect. Which is kind of weird because generally I am, but things like this, not so much. I think it's probably because my crafting passion, and the thing I get almost no chance to do these days, is scrapbooking. And with scrapbooking, I cut things down with scissors a lot. I also like fussy cutting. So we'll be putting in an order on Friday. Oh, payday on Friday. So, Catherine, are you still working or are you on furlough? Because I know some people are working from home. Some people are working as in going to work because they're part of the key workers. But yes. Hello, Maxine. Gosh. I love fussy cutting as well, Martin. I know a lot of people have a problem with fussy cutting, and all I would say is practice. Every time I do fussy cutting on a video, that is basically what I say. Sorry, my glue is running a bit low. You can do nothing. The only way to improve your fussy cutting is to do more of it. And I suggest finding, I mean, you can obviously practice with stamped images, but if you don't want to waste your card by fussy cutting stamped images, look at magazines, see if there's anything there that you can cut out. Just, you know, cut out lots and lots of stuff. And the key, and again, I know this is repetitive for those who watch me regularly, the key is to move the paper, not the scissors. It's sort of a thing with me. Now, you may be wondering why I am doing them in this order and not in this order, and it's purely because it's the order I did them in. There is no logic. I didn't want the Pineapple Punch as the smallest layer because I think it's not, against white, it doesn't stand out on its own enough. So yeah, so Pineapple Punch was never going to be the first colour, and I kind of didn't want them in the same order that they are on the stamped images. Don't know why, just because. So this is where the edge of your mini dimensionals comes into play. Wrong scissors. I've got sticky scissors. So I'm just going to cut. Now you could use our sticky foam strips instead. My only caution on that is they will not go through the post as standard post, and because we've got lots of layers, we're pushing it a bit anyway. Certainly in the UK, I can't speak for other parts of the world, but in the UK, one layer of dimensional will go through as a standard letter. So, do all DSP patterns automatically go at retiring stage? And Catherine's on furlough. Oh, if you're on furlough, Catherine, you've got masses of time. Hurrah. And yeah, hopefully you're going to get your 80% salary up to £2,500. I see no reason why you shouldn't. So yes, right, Nora. Yes and no. Up until the end of the last autumn-winter catalogue, I would have said I have only known one designer series paper carryover, and that was the wood textures. And I don't know whether that was because it was popular or because it was unpopular, and therefore they had lots to shift. Call me a cynic. I honestly don't know. I think probably because it was popular. But with the autumn-winter catalogue, we were told as that was coming to its end that some of the papers, which were incredibly popular, would be coming back. So I am thinking the copper embossed, as in foiled, paper is coming back in the next, well, I think it's coming, I don't know if it's coming back in the autumn winter mini or the, so I'm just going to pop these on where they are, you know, in the colour. So yes, I don't know if it's coming back in the next autumn winter mini or whether it's coming back in the annual. We'll find that out, or demonstrators will find that out tomorrow, because we get to see the new catalogue tomorrow. Not that I'm excited, but I am. Straight would be nice. Thank you. But yes, so I would normally say, absolutely, the DSP will be retiring. But I'm not going to put any money on it this time because I just don't know. Stamping Up are trying lots of new different things, so I honestly do not know. So half sheet of A4, and I just scored it in the middle and folded it. Now, I saw a post in one of the other card making groups, and I can't remember which one it was, this morning, about should you cut your card long and thin or short and fat, which I thought was kind of weird. Well, I don't think it's weird at all. I think it's a very sensible question to ask. So let me just grab. So this is what I mean by short and fat, and this is what I mean by long and thin. And what staggered me was the number of people who posted for this poor lady saying, oh, you've got to cut it short and fat because otherwise you don't get 2 card bases out. And I'm kind of going, what? If you cut it in half, it's in half. Can't wait to browse the new catalogue. I'm quite new at it. Excellent, Catherine. Well, you'll love tonight then. 8 o'clock, I think it is tonight. So yes, I was kind of bemused by this whole, you have to cut it short and fat or you don't get 2 card bases out. If you cut it in half, it's in half. And then I thought, actually, there is kind of a right and a wrong way. And I'm just going to grab something. She says, hopefully. I hoped I had a piece out, but I don't. Okay, let me grab a piece. So, I'm going to go into, by the way, that's that card finished. Card finished! Hurrah! One down. So, I'm going to go into dressmaking terms now, just because that's kind of where my background is. I trained as a designer, as a fashion designer, as my second college thing. So this is a piece of 12 by 12 card, and I've deliberately chosen 12 by 12 because it's the same both ways. If you take it and you push it that way and just kind of feel how it pushes, and then you take it and you push it that way, this way, much easier to fold. Hi Lexi, much easier to push that way than that way, and it's kind of warp and weft. So in dressmaking terms, you if you're cutting your garment out, you want the top of your garment and the bottom of your garment to go straight up the length of the fabric, because that's the straight. If it goes across, although it is technically straight, it's not, because it's had a shuttle going backwards and forwards, so it's not actually straight. So this way, easy to bend, this way, not so easy to bend. So if we then translate that into cardstock, this way, yeah. So if you do not score your card before you fold it, because you just don't, you'll find you'll get a much better crease if you fold it that way. So cut it in half there and then fold it in half that way, than this way. If you cut it in half this way and then fold it here, you will tend to get a crack in your card. not a crack, but it'll crinkle. And it's purely because that's the way the card doesn't want to bend that way. It wants to bend that way, which I know is kind of weird. And there you go. It's just weird. See, you get all sorts of stuff from me. I love the card. So appropriate. Absolutely. Well, that's exactly what I was thinking, Catherine. Lots of thank you. And I keep about half a dozen thank you cards in my handbag at the moment. I mean, I'm not going out that much, up to the doctors to pick up prescriptions. We actually have a dispensing doctor because we do live in the middle of nowhere. I know we live in rural Oxfordshire, and I think people kind of assume therefore that we're near Oxford, which we are, but we are more than 5 miles as the crow flies from our nearest pharmacy. So we are sorry, something's just pinged on my computer. Okay, so the call was a pocket call, if you know what I mean. So yes, our GP surgery dispenses. So where am I going at the moment? I'm going to pick up prescriptions because both my husband and I have monthly prescriptions that we need to pick up, and I have asked him to remind me that he has ordered things so that I can order mine at the same time because he expects me to go and pick them up. So I've now had to go to the doctor's twice to pick up our monthly prescriptions, once for his and once for mine, because he waits until he's about to run out before he reorders. Brilliant. Give a few more days. Anyway, so I do that. I go to the supermarket and I go to the letterbox. I've ordered lots and lots and lots of stamps of funny denominations so I can do all my own packaging and postage, so I don't even have to go to the post office because our post office is literally the size of a cupboard. So there we go. Right, next card is oh, that's where that card base. I've just realised why I hadn't got a card base. It's because it had moved over to something else. Right. Okay, so our next card is this one. And I have got some surprise stuff with this. I have done all, if not most, of the cutting that I need. Yes. So we're using the same Label Me Bold for the sentiment. It's almost as if I planned some stuff. So what I'm going to just start with is going through what I have used. So obviously I'm using Wildly Happy. This is where I am going to get slightly nervous of the fact that Martin is on, because his colouring is amazing. So yes, Wildly Happy. I have used the oval heirloom frame and embossing folder. This comes with both a rectangle and an oval, and you get the die and the embossing folder. You die cut it first, then you emboss it, and it comes out looking like this, but not this. And then I've used the stitched shapes framelets for the oval, and it's the largest oval. And I've also used the corrugated embossing folder. Yes. Right, so let us start by grabbing my stamp. I love these because they are just beautiful. So I'm just trying to read the comments. Right, so I have already, I thought I had already, no, maybe I haven't. No, I haven't. I told you it was a while ago that I made this. So I need to stamp and die cut this and then colour it in. And then I'm going to show you, while it's drying, I am going to show you some things I found surprising. So let me just stamp that there. And this is very vanilla. Beautiful. You almost don't need to do anything else. I used Memento Tuxedo Black for that because it is perfect for using blends. So I need my largest stitched rectangle, which is that one. And I'm going to do the die cutting first, because if it goes wrong, I then haven't spent a ridiculous amount of time doing the colouring, only to discover that I've then don't cut this right. So let me just whiz that through on my die cutter. And I've seen the new die cutter, and there's more than one, and I'm not going to say any more. We knew they were coming. We've been saying that we're getting a new die cut and embossing machine forever. Well, it feels like forever, because we do not do the big shot anymore. And it's finally coming. It's not coming just yet, but it is finally coming. There is a light at the end of the tunnel that is not a train coming straight at us. Right, that's the liner, so I don't need that. Right, what I want to show you, I need that for the stamping. What I want to show you is this. So, this is Whisper White, ordinary Whisper White. This is thick Whisper White. This is very vanilla. And then I just want to grab a scrap, if I have such a thing, I do, of thick very vanilla. And this came as a surprise. I normally do my blends work on ordinary Whisper White. When the blends first came out, they said use the thick because it will be better, or shimmer white. So, you know, one does what one's told. And here's the thing. So this is let's do it this way. This is the ordinary Whisper White. Let's use this one. So pumpkin. Yes, dark pumpkin pie. So I'm going to just colour. And that looks fine. Actually, let me just grab something so that this becomes more obvious. That's what I want. That's what I want. I want one of these. So, I might as well use the same one. Duh, I'm really not being very bright this morning, am I? It's quite sad. Oops, having trouble with your internet. Okay, Mary, I'll catch you later. Team call later. Yay, can't wait. Like team calls. I am going to just not waste my cardstock particularly, so I'm just going to bring in a scrap again. So this is ordinary Whisper White, so let's just stamp the tail there. This is a real scrap of thick Whisper White. There is method in what I'm going to show you. Not least of all, I want the ink to dry, but you know. So that's thick. Then we have got thick very vanilla. And you can guarantee that when I show you this, it's not going to do what it did previously. And yes, I know that was a really stupid thing to do because it's in the middle of... Well, we're going to see the very vanilla in a minute, so that's fine. Right, so those are my three alternative colours. Not colours, cards. So, ordinary Whisper White and pumpkin pie. And I'm using... This is a brand new pumpkin pie. So, if we colour right to the edge, and I'm going to give it a reasonable layer, that's kind of beautiful. So that's nice. Isn't that nice? Colouring within the lines. Who would think I could do that? And then we're going to do the same again. Oops, I did go over slightly there. So we're doing the same again. Now, when I colour this fox, I am going to be adding lots and lots and lots and lots of colour. So that one's kind of okay. If you were here, you would see that it's not quite as good, but that's fine. Then this one, and I guarantee it's not going to work. Just saying it now. just saying it now. So this is the thick Very Vanilla. You're not going to do it, are you? Oops, I went over there. It's not going to play ball. But let me show you. Can you, can you see that? This is on thick Very Vanilla. And it's really, really badly run. So, yeah, it is beginning to wick. It is beginning to go. Just here, it's beginning to go. So, and it's leaked right the way through. Marvellous. So yes, just be a little careful about which card you use. The smooth, and I call this smooth, the stamping, the one you use to stamp on, the smooth seems to be much better with the blends than the thick. Go figure. Right, okay, so I've got a really weird colour combination here. So I've got both of the pumpkin pies. I have got dark Calypso Coral, and I do mean I have got dark Calypso Coral. I've got dark soft suede, dark crumb cake, and light crumb cake. So I'm one of those people that can't decide whether you need to start with the light and go dark or the dark and go light. So I'm going to do light and go dark this time. I think you kind of get a slightly different look depending on which way you go, but it's yeah, horses for courses, as they say. So I would say the first thing you need to do is decide where your light is coming from, and I'm thinking it's kind of here, because that will tell you where your highlights need to be. And I do one area at a time, and part of my reasoning for that is that then you have some hope that your ink will still blend as you go. Because if you do all of one colour and then go back, you may find that your ink has kind of dried, because that's the whole point, that the alcohol evaporates. So I want my light area to be there, kind of there. And I would always say leave your memento to dry. And I know that's a weird shape at the moment. I'm not too fussed just yet. And then this is the weird colour. This is Calypso Coral. And I say it's weird because who would think that you would want Calypso Coral on a fox? Now it is beginning to bleed a little because I am using a lot of ink in one place. But it's not too bad. So that's my darkest colour. And then I'm going to come back in with my mid-tone and just blend that a bit. And then come in with my light again and blend that a bit. And then I'm going to go back with my dark again while that's still wet. And that will dry. Hello, Julia. How is it in Cornwall at the moment? So that will dry kind of how we want it. Right, so the next bit of my little fox is going to be here, and I'm going to have my highlight there, just so you know where it is. So it's going to be on the top of Mother Fox's leg. And I'm going to do that bit as my next area. And come in with the next colour. Now I am going to keep the dark to this area, the darkest, so this area here and this area here, because that is where the shadow will be. So I'm going to use less Calypso Coral than I used on the last one, on the last area. So there's my highlight. And then I'm going to use the bullet end for my Calypso Coral this time, because I only want a little bit. And just have that there and there, because that is where there will be shadow. Might be a little bit coming there. And then we come back out with our pumpkin pie, and then our light pumpkin pie. So it's all about layering your colours up and making them do what you want them to do. Right, now head, light crumb cake for the ears, and there, this is normally kind of white, this area here, but I don't think a wild fox would be white. Then I might go bullet tip this time. So hands up who didn't realise that there is a key to which end is the bullet tip and which is the brush tip. Because I saw something recently. Hello Brenda, I saw something recently where someone posted to say they hadn't realised that there's a fat end and a thin end, but there is. And it even says it here, so there's a brush and a bullet. So gone are the days of going, oh poop, I've opened the wrong end. Right, so all of this is going to be light crumb cake. And then, actually no, bullet tip. I'm thinking that the eyelids are going to be light still. So I'm going to leave those untouched. It will run in a little, but it's basically untouched. And you can see here, this is beginning to run this way. I don't mind about that because I've got to colour that anyway. But that's because I laid down a lot of colour. So most of this is going to be dark crumb cake. I'm going to go slightly up the ears. And I have to say, I have no idea if this is like a real fox. When I lived in West London, I saw at least one fox a day. Now I live in the country. I think we've been here for 5 years. I think I have seen 3 foxes, or a fox 3 times. It may be the same fox 3 times since we moved to the country. So yeah, kind of weird. And I just want to take this down the bridge of his nose. This is the light pumpkin pie because the light would just catch there. So that is, apart from the end of his tail, her tail, this is the dark soft suede. That is basically my mother fox done. This is dark crumb cake. For my baby fox, I'm going to start by colouring the whole thing in. I've missed a bit there, that's fine, we'll pick that up. Colour the whole thing apart from that little line there and the inside of its ear in light pumpkin pie. And this is why I say this bit that's run, don't mind, because I need the colour there anyway. So light pumpkin pie, and I'm using less of the Calypso Coral this time because I'm thinking that the baby fox would be lighter than mama fox anyway. You can tell I'm concentrating because I've gone quiet. I can't do 2 things at once. It's just not possible. And again, I'm avoiding the eyes so that there is a bit of difference between the eyes and the rest. And then a little tiny bit of Calypso Coral there, tiny bit of Calypso Coral there, and then blend that out, and then we're almost done with our fox. Light So that's that blended. Then I want light crumb cake ear, not ear, dark soft suede there. And then Emma Goddard is watching as well. Now, Emma is another of the artisan designers. So no pressure for me. So I've got Martin, if he's still with us, and Emma. Emma has been an artisan team member for 3 years now. Well, she's on her 3rd year. So I'm not feeling under pressure at all. So I'm just adding a little bit of shadow. So again, a fox's tail end is normally white-ish, but mine is a rural fox, and rural foxes don't do white. I mean, they do, but you know, it's artistic license. So there is my little fox and my baby fox. So those are my slightly odd colours, as I say, Calypso Coral. Who would have thought it? Right, so I've got my frame, I've got my piece of crumb cake. I've just realised I've tidied something away that I need out. So let's resolve that one, because I need my soft suede, one of these. Now what I would like to find, 2 hopes, one of them's Bob, there we are, is those. So I keep my sponge daubers in a little case with the families. And then I know that I've got the right colour for each thing. What would be so much better is if I could find my soft suede ink pad. Ah, there we are. Hurrah! So, this is going to be too big. Just saying, this is going to be too big, and I've done that for a reason, and it's to show you something. So I've got my soft suede. I'm just going to turn this over and see how much ink I've actually got. A reasonable amount. So this is Sahara sand, and I'm just going to take my ink dauber and very gently, and I don't mind if it's not all the same depth of colour, but just to get that, make the most of the embossing. It's just lovely to pick up some ink and highlight it, because it's pretty, so we should. So there we go. I'm also going to do the edge of this, because I suddenly, when I made the original, I have to say, when I made the original, I did this after the event, so I had it attached to my card base. Have you ever tried using a sponge dauber and get it round the edge of a die cut shape when it's already stuck to your card? It's interesting, I tell you. Seeing if there's any more updates, and there are messages, comments, that's the word I'm looking for. Now, my crumb cake, I will need this again, but my crumb cake, because I used the corrugated embossing folder, this is a very deep embossing folder. It's one of the 3D ones. This is actually one of the previous, this is the previous version, so this is the textured impressions, but the final event, the final effect is the same. It's very, 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 very corrugated, which is great. It's what I was looking for. But what that means is that if you cut your card, the length of your card, ready for your card base, before you run it through your embossing folder, it's going to shrink quite a lot. So I would recommend cutting it the width you want, but longer, so you can cut it down. So again, I am going to, well, actually I'm going to use a ruler and my mini chopper, because it'll cut better on my mini chopper. So where's my ancient ruler? I know that my normal card mat is 3 7/8 by 5 5/8. So that is 3 7/8. and I want this by 5 5/8. So that is going to be just there. So I need to take the tiniest, weeniest bit off. So I need to cut basically down the middle of that piece of corrugated card, like that. And the reason I have done it with this rather than my trimmer is because of the depth. The trimmer doesn't do an amazing cut, because it's very good at cutting flat things. It's just not so good at cutting dimensional things. Having said that, this is now going to become scrappy anyway. Take a pair of scissors, and these are the ones that I use for adhesive, so that they're my sticky ones. And I'm just going to, you know, have a go at this edge. I'm going to have a go at all of the edges, actually. I just want it to be scrappy. I don't even care if I rip it, but I want this to be vintage. I think that's the word I'm looking at, or looking for. Shabby. I used to be really into this look, and I've kind of moved away from it a bit, and I just wanted to do it again. I want to go down memory lane for a while. I think it's moments like this where we want to go down memory lane, you know, where things are all a bit weird. And I'm deliberately doing this before I add any ink, because I am. So that's all the fluff. I'm just going to get rid of the worst of the fluff. And then I'm going to load up my dauber again, and I am going to deliberately load it up because I don't want, if I can avoid it, to go back into my ink pad. And then I'm going to, and the reason I don't want to go back in my ink pad at this point is because there will be fluff on my dauber, because it is fluffy cardstock now. And get rid of that. And also I'm going to just add a bit just around, because every now and again you want a bit of shabby. Right, so that is that prepped. The only other thing I want to do is stamp my happy birthday. So I'm going to label me bold again. There we go, happy birthday. And my little block. And my tiny piece of cardstock. And this is one of those moments where it doesn't matter if you get this straight or not, because I'm going to cut it out. So all I'm looking for is a reasonably well stamped sentiment, which that is. An hour with my parents would be wonderful. You understand? I didn't catch the beginning of that comment, B, so but I do understand that an hour with your parents would be wonderful. I know the significance of that. It's a bit like me saying an hour with my mother would be lovely. Hello, Valerie O'Neill. Right, okay, so the non-sticky card, scissors rather, I'm just going to chop that out. And there we go, that's that done. So all we need to do now is put the card together. So I've got my card base, which I haven't scored. So if you were watching earlier, you will appreciate that this is the way it wants to bend and this is the way it doesn't want to. So by not scoring it doesn't actually matter too much, because I will get a decent crease. Whereas had that been the other way and not scored, this could have crumpled. So this is going to go there. glue. Now I am going to use more glue than I would normally use because this is a very heavily embossed piece of card, and I am putting my glue down on my card base because it's going to run better onto my card base than trying to run it over my corrugated. And I've done a lot because I've only got a small amount of surface area that is actually going to be on the card. And as ever, I'm going to press from the back. So that's that. Then I'm going to grab just a few dimensionals, not very many. I'm just going to pop 4, 1 in each quarter. And then I'm going to remove their backings, but before I stick it down, I am going to add some more adhesive. The dimensionals are there as much as anything because I know those will stick to the corrugated, but I do want to just add, and because this is embossed, there is some depth to it, but I do want to add a bit more adhesive around the edge. Good grief, I'm shaking like a leaf. You wouldn't think I used to perform on stage, would you? And here I am shaking like a leaf because I'm on Facebook Live. If I did this on a YouTube video, I would not be shaking. It's ridiculous. There are about a dozen people watching me, and that makes me shake. So, preferably without getting your fingers covered in glue, I'm going to pop this towards one side of my card, just checking I've got it the right way up. Yes, I have. And if I push my dimensionals, that means I know that that's adhered, and then the glue I can push around just to make sure that does its final thing. I will need that again, but not yet. And then for the inside, I'm going to pop the dimensionals down first. When I say the inside, I mean the picture. And then this can pop here. Now it will just fit if you get it right, so that you get some of the hatching on the inside of the frame showing all the way round, but only just. Right, this I need the tiniest, weeniest little bit of dimensional. That's not much good, is it? That can go in the bin. That's what I'm after. Probably, actually. Sticky scissors! Come on, use your sticky scissors. They're there for a reason. That's probably all I need. And then I can take the bottom off. I like to take the bottom off first. I'd like to get the bottom off at all, actually. This is the problem with when you've got a really small piece. There we go. Sticking it on the right end would be a plan, because I want it behind day, not behind birth. And then a little tiny weeny bit of glue here. And peel off my backing of that, and then just pop that just there. And then the only other thing I need to do is pop my very vanilla blank in the middle so that it can be written on, because Cajun Craze, which is what this colour is, I didn't tell you that, did I, is not the easiest colour to... Karen Benny is here as well! Yay! So there we are, that is the second one of those. Right, okay, we're on the final track. So let me clear the decks from that. I will clean that stamp later. And bring up my next box. Card base, scored. card. Got all sorts of bits and pieces in here. Whoops. I'm being a bit... Right, I have a 2-box stamp set here. So Rooted in Nature is 2 boxes. I've also got Perennial Birthday because Rooted in Nature didn't have a birthday sentiment. And this is going to be a birthday card. 2 frames. And these are the layering squares. And I've got the largest, the next one down, and the next one down. So this is cut with the middle size for its opening, and then I've trimmed the copper foil to I think 3 1/4, but as I say, it will be on the website. And then this is cut out with the largest and the 1, 2 down from that. Gives me that frame. So that's those. I need that. And don't need those. I do need that. Now, isn't that weird? I thought I'd put the patterned paper in there as well. But I haven't. Bear with me one moment while I grab it. Oh, you see, I put it away. There's the patterned paper that I want. Right, and I also need, because I haven't put that out either. You couldn't make this up, could you? Regals, thank you, Regals. Oops, and I'm leaning over the camera making it shake. Sorry about that. I need a piece of Old Olive. You guarantee that I don't have one cut. No, I've got Garden Green, but I haven't got Old Olive. Well, we're going to resolve that one quickly. You see, I told you I prepped these over the weekend. So I'm a bit kind of, I've done some and not everything. So I want a piece of Old Olive card base. So again, I happen to know that I cut my mat at 5 5/8 by 3 7/8. So 5 5/8 by 3 7/8. It's as if I knew. Right. Okay. So that's that. I also need, don't do that twice, you silly girl. I'm talking to myself. I also need a piece of pre-cut Very Vanilla. Right, okay, so male birthday cards. Hands up, who thinks male birthday cards are not the easiest thing on the planet? Well, here we go. I am just going to trim down my designer series paper as well. So this is part of the Petals designer series paper. It's the one in the annual catalogue that is very thin. It is called I can't remember. Pressed Petals, that's it. So I want just a smallish bit, smallish being 2 inches apparently, just over 2 inches. So let's say 2 1/8 inch piece. Well, I'm going to trim it down to 3 7/8, but I'm going to start with it slightly bigger than that because I find it much easier to trim it down in situ than not. So I will need my mini trimmer in a minute, but okay, so this is using Rooted in Nature, and I need my large wood slice and my large oak tree. I'm so pleased there's a conversation going on. Good morning from VA. Hello, Virginia. Anyway, let me just get that back up to there. So this, my version of this is old enough that it's not the cling mount, it's the clear mount. So I have retrofitted a piece of cling mount on this, but I haven't even done anything with that one. This is where, of course, I find that I need the block that's got my fox on it with ink still all over it. Joy, because that needs to go on there. My tree will fit on there enough that it will work. And I also need my daubers, but that's fine because I have my daubers. And I need soft suede, which I put in the other box. Right, we're here, we're ready. Okay, so let me pop that out of the way because frankly we've got enough on here without that as well. So, okay, so this is the outside, as in it's this bit. So the trick to this, the trick of course is to find the pieces you've already cut. You couldn't make it up, could you? You seriously couldn't make it up. Sincere apologies. I knew I'd hidden them somewhere, just didn't know where. Okay, so the trick with this is stamping your piece of wood in the right place. So I want it so that it's kind of here. So the easiest way for me to do that is to take my smaller frame and get that where I'm expecting it to end up, which is about there. Then grab, I had a pencil there. Grab a pencil from somewhere. There it is. Grab a pencil. Oh, I wrote down measurements. That's why it wasn't where I expected it to be. And then just very gently do that, because that means I know where my edge is, if that makes sense. So so long as I stamp kind of in that area, I know I'm going to be okay. In fact, I'll probably go there because that's almost a corner. Anyway, so I've got crumb cake, which I am going to just grab a scrap of paper, it's an old one of these, and stamp off, because crumb cake is surprisingly dark. And then with my soft suede sponge dauber, don't need that anymore, so let's get rid of that. Pick up some ink and just add some texture to that, and huff on your hi Baz on your thing. Stamp, that's the word I'm looking for. And stamp. Keeping your fingers firmly crossed that this is going to work. And it has! So that will dry back a bit. So while that's doing that, let me grab my scrap. And this I'm going to ink up with Oud Olive. Now you can do what I'm about to show you with your Stampin' Write markers instead. And actually I've just realised I didn't do that very cleverly, because what I didn't want to do was get any ink right on that bottom bit. So I'm just going to stamp that off and bring back in my soft suede ink pad, and then I'm going to ink up my trunk. And then wherever there are lots of branches, and you can still see them because they're lines, you may not be able to see them, but I can, just add a bit of soft suede ink, just so that it's not just Old Olive, because that's kind of dull. And then huff and stamp down. And I would say whenever you use sponge daubers for any of your inking, unless it is just that slice of wood, do hold things down longer because you won't have got as much ink on. And again, that is going to dry back. So let me grab my die. I'm just going to pre-trim my card. Get rid of that. And if you could see the state of my desk now. And this I'm going to whiz through the die cutter. And then we're nearly done and we can get on to Prize Patrol, which is always fun. Of course, this is the moment I've realised I'm not using the magnetic base plate. I normally use the magnetic base plate, but for some reason I'm not. So that is our tree. And it's already beginning to soften up. Right, okay, so let us put this together. So the first thing to do is to pop this down, and I am going to then just stick my piece of that right over the top. I'm not going to worry about trimming this down because, you know, life gets too short sometimes. So let me pop that down. This might be the moment that I have to open a new pot of Tombow. So that's that there. Then I am going to pop this down. I am going to use snail for that because this is lightweight paper, and I say I'm going to use snail. If I can find my snail, I will use snail, and if I can't, I won't. You would think, wouldn't you? I mean, come on. You're supposed to be it's right in front of me. I was going to say you're supposed to be a professional. It is so in the right place that I couldn't see it. Right, this is wider than my card, deliberately, so I can trim it down. So, whoops. Let's bring it up a bit more. So what I want to do is line it up at both ends with the edge of my old olive, and then I can come in with my sticky scissors, and from the back, much easier to do it from the back, just trim away the piece you don't need. And if you do it from the front, you really, I'm pressing against the edge of this piece of card. That's how I know that it's going to be in the right place. And there we are. Then just make sure it's properly stuck down. I need a piece of Terran tape, which is in the right place for once. Something that's in the right place, good grief. And that's going to go all the way across my card, because I have here a piece of burlap ribbon, or trim, I suppose. Technically it's trim rather than ribbon. And take the backing off and pop that down, which is also going to be too wide, but I want it wide as the card base. So that's there. Then I need my one of these and some small dimensionals. Now I don't mind going that way a bit because this is going to stick over it. The first thing I want to do is pop one in each corner so that I know that the corners are at least anchored. And then what I think I'll do is, no, wrong ones, chop 2, 3, 4 pieces. And then pop these so they are wider. Let me grab a silicone mat. And where are my bits? There they are. And then we're just going to finish this up, and then we'll just do Prize Patrol, and then we will be done for the day. So we are averaging about an hour and a half for these. Do remember, as I said at the beginning, that there is Prize Patrol every week for sharing the video. And that's whether it's on Facebook or on YouTube. So do remember that. Prize Patrol is particularly aimed at people in the UK, because I know what the postage is for UK. If the prize is won by someone overseas, we will have to discuss what is best about getting it to you, because there are issues with getting some stuff overseas, not least of all the cost. Okay, so that is there. This, I'm just going to run the smallest amount of glue in a few strategic areas, which is kind of, you know, just a couple of dots, just so that there is some hope that everything will stick together. Hello, Anne from Massachusetts. They are lovely cards, aren't they? Thank you, B. And then this pops just there. And because we've got that little bit of liquid adhesive, we've got a little bit of wiggle room before we then stick down where the dimensionals are. Now I have got a tiny bit of dimensional showing there. It doesn't matter, because we're going to cover it up anyway. So, oh, I've taken the backs off. This then goes onto my card. It would help, of course, if the bit of dimensional that was showing was not at the top left-hand corner. That's better. So that's that in place. Then we need our one of these, and that's just going to go there. So I'm going to do that whole stick the dimensional to the base thing, because so long as I'm in this quadrant here, I know that it's not going to show. So I probably only need 2. And then I'm not going to put any other adhesive on, because this is not weight bearing. The only thing that's being held on is the tree. And I have no qualms about 2 dimensionals managing to hold on to a tree. So that's that. Right, okay, card base. So this is the outside. Fold my card, grab my bone folder, and the only other thing that I need to do is stamp on the inside. So I need my perennial birthday, and I'm going to use this happy birthday. And these are actually going to be birthday cards that are going to go to people. I'm making cards for people in the village who are self-isolating to the degree that they can't go out at all. So they haven't got an opportunity to go to the supermarket and look at the amazing choice of supermarket cards. I jest, they aren't amazing. They're beginning to sell out, because it's the only way of getting a birthday card at the moment is to buy it from your supermarket. So yes, I am making cards for people in the village. I'm not charging them, I'm just making them. And if they want to pay for them, I'm just saying donate money to whatever charity you want. One lady has donated to Captain Tom, who of course raised an amazing amount of money walking around his garden. I cannot believe, well, he can't believe the amount of money that he's made for the NHS. And as ever, I like to press from the back. And whilst I'm on the back, I am going to grab my not sticky scissors, trim, and trim. Oops, sorry. Oh, bless you, Karen. So there we are. Those are our 2 cards for that design. So let me bring back what we've done. So we've done those 2, we've done those 2, and these 2. So again, these are going to be going to people to send. These will be going in my handbag to hand out to our amazing key workers. So that's what we've done. Now, the prize for this week, I've buried. It's the happy birthday. Oh, that I literally have buried it. Okay, so it's this. So this is the prize that I'm drawing this week. So that was the live on the 7th of April. And I have in my magic cup the names of the people who shared. So I'm going to give those a good old shake and draw a name. And it is Margaret Page. Now, Margaret, I think I have your address. I think I've definitely got Tennessee. Morning, Mary Beth. Thank you, Nora. So, Margaret Page, you will be getting this stamp set. I'm fairly certain I've got your address, but I will drop you an email just to make sure. So that's that. Today's prize, or the prize for today's live, is another celebration set, but it's a bundle. So it's the Power of Hope and the Stone 3D embossing folder. This is worth the entry on its own. It's free to enter, by the way. So if you would like the chance to win these, and again, new, unsullied, if you would like the chance to win these, again, all you need to do is share and put in the comments, shared, and then if you either do it on the Facebook or on YouTube, in fact, if you do it on both, you get 2 entries. And then I will draw this prize on the 5th of May. So, what else can I tell you? Host code, April host code is all over my website and on my Facebook page. If you are in the UK and you shop with me and you spend £45 or over, you will get the April edition of the Glam Squad tutorials, and that's florals this time. You can buy those wherever you are in the world, and they're £15 each, and those are over on my website. I need to load up the April one to buy, and if you spend over £60 in any one order, then you get the mega bundle for the ornate garden suite. And by mega, I mean mega. There are, I kid you not, 90 projects in that bundle. It's almost too large to email, so actually I'll give you a link to download it. Or you can buy it for £17. Stamping Mist should now be in the warehouse in Europe. And oh yes, just a reminder that if you are watching live, which you folk are, you will see in the top left-hand corner there is a little thing that says live, little red thing that says live. If I am currently pointing at a blank space, it's not live, it's a replay. So I try and catch comments on the live, the actual live, but if there is no red button, I will still try and catch the comments, but please tag me if you want to comment and it's something more than that's a lovely card, which is lovely. But if you want me to answer a query, please tag me in the comments so I know that you've commented. And if you're watching on YouTube, it is not live. This is a Facebook Live, which I will then share to YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, it is not live. I will still pick up your comments, but I will pick them up not in real time. So just so you know. So there we are. So thank you all very much. Have a fantastic day. Do keep safe, keep well. It sounds almost flippant, but I'm going to repeat it. Very early on, when this was happening, someone said, our grandparents were called to fight. We are being asked to wash our hands and sit on a sofa. I think we should be able to manage this. It is a scary time. It's a really, I hope we never have to live through anything like this ever again. I think we're all going to be very thankful for the things we're going to learn what really matters. Maybe Mother Nature is telling us that we need to look after our planet a bit more, because the pollution levels have dropped dramatically. But stay safe, stay well, wash your hands a lot. If you can't wash your hands for any reason, you know, you want an antibacterial hand gel, you need at least 60% alcohol for it to have any impact on virus. So just be careful. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic week, and I look forward to seeing some, if not all of you again in 7 days. Thank you very much for watching. Look after yourselves, and bye-bye.